Clever rescue cat uses trick to save his sister. She watched as the poor thing lay miserable in the middle of the living room floor, staring at the front door. Everything she tried had ended in failure. This was her responsibility, and she was blowing it. There was only one more thing to try. Alana Hadley of Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, grinned as she walked down the long aisles full of chirps, meows, and woofs. It was the annual Pet Expo, and she never missed a year. But this trip, she had something new in mind. It was time for a big change. Before, it had been to browse, give donations to a few animal shelters, and maybe buy a treat for her golden retriever, Sunny. But Alana felt it was time for a new addition to the family. She wanted a cat, whatever cat was in most need of a loving home. It was the Humane Society's tent that called her next. And there, in a pen full of adorable furballs, were two kittens tumbling and roughhousing. It was love at first sight as soon as her eyes saw the frizzy, gray tabby. But there was one problem. She was already spoken for. The orange twin meowed loudly as his sister was taken away. This was it. Alana would adopt the second cat, so he didn't have to be alone. That very evening she drove home with Aries wrapped in a blanket. But she had no idea the ordeal that was coming her way. Over the first few days, it was the normal, skittish behavior anyone would expect from a shelter pet. But there was also a lot of meowing. Hour after hour, sad and pain-filled sounds emanated from the lump of orange fur. They just wouldn't stop, and Alan was at her wits' end. She was no vet, but this much commotion from a pet was certainly not normal. She even went as far as setting up a camera. Aries wasn't sleeping at all. And his calls wouldn't let her sleep either. She rang the Humane Society. Their suggestion wasn't what she expected. The woman on the other end asked if she would be willing to adopt one more. Since Alana's cat was giving a clean bill of health, the reason was he must have been lonely, even with her dog around. She sighed, put Aries in his traveling case, and made the long drive back to the shelter. There, a surprise was waiting for her. There was no way she was going to give up on her cat. She hoped and prayed there would be a friend somewhere in the row of cages. One by one she introduced Aries to the other felines. But the meowing didn't end. It wasn't until the last cage did something happen. All of a sudden the sounds stopped. It had been over 2 weeks of agony for everyone. Alana crouched down to see who the winner was. She saw the tabby gray coat and her jaw dropped. She read the name tag and had to take a seat on the floor. This was impossible. There, Aries' sister sat pawing at the bars. But Alana was there when she saw Aphrodite taken away for adoption. She turned to the employee and asked what in the world was going on. The answer was simple but heartbreaking. The husband and wife had pulled out of the adoption at the last minute and taken the gray angel back. Steam came out of Alana's ears. It was an animal, not a pair of shoes you can just change your mind on. That was it. She grabbed the pen from the employee and pulled him into the office to do the paperwork. A few documents later, 2 cats sat nestled together, contently purring. Part of it tore at her heart. She had hoped her love would be strong enough to help her cat. She had been the one to save him. But there was now a new unstoppable motivation. They were still her pets and she would love them to pieces. She wasn't going to save one life. She was now saving 2. Alana let them wander around her home, exploring and having their own fun. As she relaxed on the sofa with Sunny, she felt a poke on her leg. The 2 cats had crawled onto the sofa. The brother and sister curled up next to her. There Alana sat feeling the joy spill over and filled the room. Surrounded by her family, she wiped away a happy tear and nestled in with them. Thanks for watching. Click on like and subscribe for more videos.